Founded as the Institute for Colored Youth in 1837, Cheyney football began in 1914. With the only interruptions of 2 world wars, the program went for 71 years. There were only 6 winning teams after 1946. 1966, 1972, 1973, 1974, 1978, and 1979. This is the story of Cheyney football, 1964 to 1967, which includes the first of the 6 winning teams, the 1966 team. In 4 years, over 30 games, our road record was 1 win over Gallaudet in Washington, D.C., and 14 losses. But we went an amazing 9 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties at home during this same period. This is our story. My first practice at Cheyney was late August 1964. We started with 6 upperclassmen and 28 freshmen. Like many of the other freshmen, I had no knowledge of any history about Cheyney football. We did not know from 1946 to 1963 the Wolves had gone 8, 86, and 2. Before World War II, Cheyney compiled a record of 74 wins, 53 losses, and 2 ties. After World War II, we suffered, as many other HBCUs did, as white schools began to flex their money and accept black students on their teams. Through the 1950s and 1960s, many white schools started to recruit black players. Alabama didn't sign its first black player until 1971. A totally different story today. After years of Cheyney's losing sports teams, the span from 1964 to 1967 became what I call the golden era. 1964 ushered in the largest freshman class to that date, pushing the student body to more than 1,200. It would be more than 2,000 by the year 1968. Every team became competitive. The campus was rocking. We also had tennis. This is Michael Jennings, who grew up 1 block away from Cobbs Creek tennis courts in Philadelphia. He was our best tennis player, and he also played football. One football game at halftime, he got dressed in his tennis uniform and played in the school's tennis match. In 1965, the track and field team captured a 3rd-place trophy in the PSAC championships with just 9 competitors. Everyone scored. The basketball team went nuclear. After years of mediocrity, the basketball team logged its first winning season in 1963-64 season. With a monster recruiting class, the team went 24-1 the next season, 1964-1965, to start a run of 3 PSAC basketball championships out of 4. Placed players in the NBA, the ABA, pro basketball scouts were all over the place. And then the football program turned it around. After that first summer practice, our numbers increased as the days went by, and with only 3 coaches, we went to work. After 8 days of 2-a-days, we had a full game scrimmage with referees against Delaware Valley College and whipped them 30-0. Scored 30 points. That was truly a sign. Losing the first 5 games of 1964 were in Cheyney fashion, scrappy but undermanned. The first thing you noticed about the other teams were their large numbers. One of the disadvantages that Cheyney had was there were no physical education majors, and we did not have a weight room. But the tide turned. In the next practice, after our 5th loss, we still had good spirits, and we dressed 54 players. We were out in uniforms. We practiced hard and walked away with a 7-7 tie with Bloomsburg the next game. The defense played a monster game. It was the first time we did not lose to a PSAC team. And the following week, we tied Millersville 26-26. The offense finally came to life. 26 points were the most points scored since 1946 by a Cheyney team. Although we went 0-5-2, our seniors left with a good feeling. "1965 would be a pivotal year. With about 30 players coming back, we added on several freshmen. It was not only the numbers, but we had talent. We tied the last 2 games last year, and we were a much better team. We won our first game, 35-8, over Gallaudet of Washington, D.C., in front of a full house. It was the most points scored by a Cheyney team in the modern era. After 2 losses on the road, on homecoming, we won our first PSAC game ever with a 15-12 victory over Kutztown. A field goal by Carl Bivens with 2 minutes remaining won the game. The party was on. The alumni came alive. We would lose the last 3 games, but we were competitive. And one good side note, we played our best game ever against Westchester, actually leading in the 4th quarter 6-0. We lost 27-6. Another sign that we were getting better. At the end of the season, Coach Stevenson resigned, but remained in his science position at the college. The 1966 season would be our breakout. With a new coaching staff of 5 coaches, Cleophas Hatcher, head coach, in the middle, and from left to right, William Jones, Bill Davis, on the other side, Lawrence Benjamin, and Benjamin Whaley, who was a great line coach, who played professionally with the Los Angeles Dons, who were an American football team in the American Professional Football Conference, a newly formed football league now known as the NFL. We began the season with 2 wins in a row. 2 wins in a row was a great explosion, beating Gallaudet 21-14 and Mansfield 14-6. After those first 2 wins, we lost 2 away games, a lopsided game against East Stroudsburg, and lost by a field goal to Kutztown. Then it happened. The schedule results for 1966 are incorrect because we won a game against Delaware State 10-7 on a field goal by Carl Bivens. Then we shut out Bloomsburg 14-0. Then we beat Millersville 17-14 on another Carl Bivens kick. That was 3 in a row for 5 wins, with 1 game to go. We lost the last game, but we didn't let that damper the fact that we had won 5 games, which gave us the first winning season since 1946, its first in 20 years. Losing only 5 seniors, we opened the 1967 season with a 13-12 win over Edinburgh, a PSAC team from the Western Division. First time Cheyney playing a Western Division team, and we get a victory. In our second game of 1967, we set the most points scored in a game, 65, with a 65-13 win over Gallaudet, and that record was never broken. After winning the first two games of the season again, we would finish 1967 with only one more win out of the next 5, which would be homecoming, a 35-12 victory over Kutztown. Thus it gave us a 3-5 season. Over 4 seasons with 30 games, we went 10 wins, 18 losses, and 2 ties. But, and it's a big but, we went 1-14 on the road and had 9 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties at home. Let me repeat that. We had 9 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties at home. When they only lost 4 games out of 15 at home over that 4-year period. After those first 2 tie games, we started defending the Valley. In our 10 winning games, we scored 265 points while only giving up 112. Our students, and especially our alumni, rarely saw us lose a game. Amazing. 1964 to 1968 was a dream ride. After years of scarce wins, these were the golden years. At the same time, the basketball team was winning 3 out of 4 PSAC championships. Truly a golden era. We'd had huge crowds, a 5-3 winning season, which was the first in 20 years. We went 9 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties at home. We scored the most points in a season, 161, in only 8 games. Our best team of 1979, which was 9-2, had only 146 points in 11 games. Scored the single game record of 65 points against Gallaudet. After losing our first homecoming in 1964, we won 3 homecomings in a row. Outscored opposition 245 to 112 points in the 10 victories. We beat Gallaudet 3 times. We beat Kutztown twice, and we beat Delaware State. PSAC's teams we beat Mansfield, Bloomsburg, Millersville, and Edinburgh. And we also had tie games. Our offense put us in position to win 3 games by a field goal. An unforgettable experience, that old Cheyney spirit. Lastly, we'll talk about the players. A very physical group. We had linemen on both sides of the ball. Talent level very high. Good backups. The PSAC had not seen this before. Our starting offense in the winning season was Ben Hollis at quarterback, George Green at right halfback, Jack Lemon at fullback, Richard Morgan left halfback, Ed Brown right end, Charlie Jones right tackle, Donald Nickerson right guard, Greg Harris center, Ivan Kaiser guard, Kirk McCullough tackle, and Jerry DeFilippo left end. This was by far the most potent offense in 17 years. Ben Hollis, quarterback, short in stature, played like the quarterbacks of the day. He could run and pass. He scored 2 touchdowns in 1 game, threw several TD passes. Our ends and backs could catch the ball. Ed Brown caught a TD pass in the Millersville game, the first of 2 for Hollis, who also passed a touchdown to Jack Lemon. George Green. Every PSAC team set their defense to stop him. What made us competitive was our lineman. On the defensive side of the ball, we had John Anderson at right defensive end, Charles Jones, right defensive tackle, Ralph Johnston, nose guard. We had Alonzo Covert, left defensive tackle, and we had Jerry DeFilippo, left defensive end up front. Russell Jones was a left linebacker, Russell Bennett was a middle linebacker, and Floyd Dinkins was a right linebacker. Our defensive backs was George Green, Bruce Ransom, and James Lee. Also on defense, we had Ray Ashton, a linebacker, who played the position despite having one leg. There are 4 members from this era in the Cheyney Hall of Fame, all linemen, and they are Charlie Jones, offensive and defensive tackle, Jerry DeFilippo, offensive and defensive end, Gregory Harris, center, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, and Alonzo Covert, guard and defensive tackle. So that's our story. 9 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties at home. First winning season in 20 years, we were treated like champions.